Like sports games, racing games are ripe with strange titles. Weird racing games come in all sorts of varieties, like odd mascot kart racers to more traditional racing games with some silly elements. I thought it would be interesting to look over some of these weird racing games and to decide whether or not any of them are worth playing. Let's start off simple with a mascot kart racer. There are lots of mascot kart racers that can fit into this video, but for the sake of brevity I will just talk about one that I found especially interesting. Super Tux Kart is a kart racer starring Tux, the Linux mascot. There's lots of different characters who are mascots for different open source projects, but there's also a mod tab full of hundreds of custom characters. The gameplay is very similar to Mario Kart. You can drift to get a speed boost, and there's item boxes that grant power-ups. The items aren't one-to-one to Mario Kart, however. The cupcake, for example, is similar to the red shell, but if it doesn't hit a target fast enough, it just explodes. You have your standard races, battle mode, and time trials, but there's also lots of alternative game modes, like a strange soccer mode and an Easter egg hunt around different courses. The gameplay is quite fun, and there's a single-player adventure that you can sink quite a lot of time into. The game is completely free, so I'd recommend checking out Super Tux Kart. Switching gears a little bit, because that's what cars do, and this is a video about racing games, to a more traditional racing game with Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo is by no means a weird game franchise, but that doesn't mean that it's void of some strange elements. Weird cars have been a staple of Gran Turismo, like the Daihatsu Midget and the Nike One 2022, a concept car from the future that is now from the past. Most Gran Turismo fans are familiar with the Midget and the Nike One due to their presence in Gran Turismo 4, a mainline entry, but strange cars aren't exclusive to the numbered games in the series. Enter Gran Turismo Concept, a series of smaller racing games made to showcase concept cars from different motor shows. The one I want to look at in particular is the 2002 Tokyo Geneva edition, which contains a very peculiar car. Upon completing the Tahiti Maze reverse race on normal difficulty, you'll receive the Toyota Pod. Now you may look at the Toyota Pod and think to yourself, that is a stupid looking car. Well, don't do that, it has feelings. The Toyota Pod will change color depending on its mood. Cyan for neutral, yellow for happy, blue for sad, and red for angry. Once you complete every single license test, you unlock a special Toyota Pod race, which contains a strange section where you need to stop completely and put on your handbrake before continuing. While it might not be the most famous weird car in Gran Turismo, the Toyota Pod from GT Concept is certainly one of the strangest cars in Gran Turismo history. The last entry got a little off topic, talking more about one car rather than a whole game, and this entry will continue to get more off topic by not talking about a racing game at all. Mortal Kombat Armageddon is not a good fighting game. It came at a sour point in Mortal Kombat history, and failed to aid the franchise with its lack of direction or general quality. However, one good thing did emerge from Armageddon, and that's Motor Combat. Motor Combat is a kart racing side mode that only has a small number of tracks. Each character in Motor Combat has a different special move that you access by collecting the yellow tokens on the course. Sub-Zero has a homing freezing attack, Johnny Cage has a lob projectile, Jax has a ground pound, etc. In addition, there are also speed boost tokens and coins, but I don't think the coins do anything. There's no drifting, and the steering is quite loose, but it's fun and provides a good challenge. The gameplay isn't very deep and gets tiring quickly, especially with the small selection of tracks, but as a racing side mode, it gets the job done, and it gets it done pretty competently. Motor Combat is a fun time, but there are better PS2 kart racers, much like how there's much better PS2 fighting games than Mortal Kombat Armageddon. The last two games weren't technically fully weird racing games, or even fully racing games for that matter, so to make up for it, here's a whole series of weird racing games. Initial D Arcade Stage is a series of racing games made by Sega based on the manga/anime Initial D. The first version of Initial D Arcade Stage released all the way back in 2001, and the most recent entry in the series released in 2019. The version I played for the video is known as Initial D Special Stage, which is a PS2 port of Arcade Stage 2. However, the gameplay is consistent between all versions, so there won't be much of a difference depending on what version you play. The only main difference between versions being graphics, as well as stage and character select. The main gameplay loop is 1v1 races that require good knowledge of drifting and cornering to win. The drifting, while not as easy as in a game like Mario Kart, is still easy to learn and hard to master, creating a fun and addicting gameplay loop. You race in and against famous cars from the series, on different famous mountain passes from the series, while listening to the iconic Eurobeat soundtrack from the anime. Although out of all the cars in the game, the classic 8 Sticks is probably the best due to its small size and good handling. None of the arcade stage games have ever been officially translated, but some fan translations can be found online, so I recommend giving one of these games a shot if you're so inclined. Like in the Weird Sports Games video, I haven't covered every weird racing game, but if I did, most of this video would just be mascot kart racers, and that wouldn't be very interesting. If any other weird games happen to catch my eye, I might make a video about them, and if any catch your eye, be sure to leave them in the comments below. Until then though, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.